Good evening. I hope everybody's having a good night. I want to check out this Lifeline Audio Console plugin from Excite Audio. I don't know much about it. I've seen it around for the last few months. I'm a little late to the party on this one, I think, but it looks really interesting to me. I know very little about this company. They're called Excite Audio. They only have 2 plugins out. This one called the Console and another one called Expanse. There's not a lot of information about them, period. We go to their website. There's just not a lot here under the About category. I do love brevity, so I like how brief their website is, but don't really know much about who they are or where they're from or like even where they're located. I can't find anything about that, so kind of interesting. This is a plugin that looks really up my alley as far as what I like to see. So for those of you who haven't seen the stream before, the whole point of the stream is for me to try out the plugin in real time. I haven't tried this out at all yet, and for me to kind of work my way through the plugin and learn it and see how it sounds and give my initial thoughts and feelings and what I think about the plugin as I'm using it. I mainly work as a mix engineer and a mastering engineer. I do production and recording though as well, but most days I'm just mixing and mastering at this point. And also at this point for the last 3-4 years, I've been pretty much all on headphones. I work off a pair of vocal clears and I'm all in the box. So I'm completely digital. I'm really interested in the digital domain, working digitally. I like plugins that kind of push on that envelope, and just from looking at this thing lives right up that alley. So yeah, we're just going to play around with it on a track here that I've got. As I said, I've never tried this out yet, so we're going to learn this together and see how it goes. There's some things on my checklist when I open up a plugin. Pretty hardcore nerd about some of this stuff. I really like functionality. I really love the digital workflow. I love what you can do in the box, in Pro Tools, in any DAW. I love the kind of creative boundaries that you can push on. You can do things that you just can't do in the analog world. Not that I'm knocking the analog world, not at all. If that's your workflow and that's where you like to be, then that's great. That's awesome, but that's not where I live. I live in the digital domain and I want to kind of be pushing on the edges of that all the time. That's kind of the workflow that I'm interested in. And I'm interested in plugins that are kind of thinking that same way. So I have a bit of a checklist that I go through when I open up a plugin, and things I like to see and things I don't like to see, and even before I dig in. First up for me is the GUI, the graphical user interface. Does it look good? I know that seems maybe arbitrary to whether or not it sounds good, but I want to be inspired by the tools that I use. I want to pull it up and it look beautiful and look like I want to use it. That's important to me, and this thing looks really nice, kind of clean, modern, and minimal, which I also love. I'm a bit of a minimalist, as you can maybe tell by my condo in the background. I love minimalism. That's something that's really interesting to me. Kind of right off the rip, it looks kind of like the XLN Audio RC20, the retro color, which is also a great plugin. Screen real estate, being a laptop user is pretty important. So can I resize this thing? And the answer is yes. I can see that there's a little arrow there and it moves really, really nicely. I think that's amazing. It looks really intuitive to use, and that's even before I touch it. I really appreciate that. 0 latency, so you can use this thing in production, in real time, no problem. It'd be kind of cool if there was an oversample feature, just so that you could kind of up the sonic quality. There doesn't seem to be any AB or undo, which is something that I really look for. I love AB, I love undo. I love being able to set up a couple of different options and see which one I like. Doesn't look like we have a gain match, but what I do really love about this, and I wish all plugins kind of did this, is that the input and the output meters live right beside each other. Oh, that is so good. I can't stand when a plugin has the input meters over here on the left and the output meters over here on the right. It's impossible to be able to look at them in real time and see what the hell's happening on the input and the output. It's just, you have to like constantly be left and righting it, and it makes no sense. I want this right here, and it looks like I get a readout on it, so that's great. And it looks like I can link them. Oh, they work in inverse. Ooh, I know that seems like a small thing, but that's pretty impressive to me. I really like that the meters just do that. Man, I don't know much about this company, but I'm instantly impressed by the GUI, how intuitive it looks, how clean it looks. Obviously, whoever's building this stuff is a workflow nerd, just like me. From a graphical user interface standpoint, this thing gets a lot of high marks from me right off the bat without even hearing hearing it. I haven't heard this thing at all. So what else do we got here? We got a preamp, an EQ, a compressor, some modulation, and some wear. And it looks like within each one of these things, we have some options. Oh, we've got tooltips here, which is great. So right down here in the bottom left, we can see what version of the plugin that we are on, but anytime we go over one of the controls, it tells us what it's doing. So that's awesome. Well, I don't see any option to find a manual, so this is the manual. Tooltips are awesome. I think that's a really cool feature and let you see in a lot of plugins now. We got a preamp, dark, warm, bright, 3 different modes there. We have some drive, so driving the preamp increases the gain of the input signal. Push increases the overall gain of the saturation, and pull reduces the gain of the wet signal along the frequencies of the saturation curve. And we have a main and advanced. Oh, each one of these modules pull open into an advanced setting. Oof. This thing has me interested right off the bat. Some low end filters out low frequencies up to a specific frequency, so sidechain. We have a bias, adjust the emphasis of the saturation curve towards higher or lower frequencies. Awesome. We have a Q, controls the steepness of the peaks forming the saturation curve, and we have a shape, adjusts the relative distance between the frequency of the peaks forming the saturation curve. Okay, so I understand the words. I don't understand what it sounds like or what it does. We'll find that out. And we have mid side, which is cool. I don't understand how that works yet. Doesn't tell me if I'm on the mid or the side, but we will find out. Oh, mid side linked, unlinked. I get access to the mid and the side, or the left and the right. Okay, this thing's cool. I like this thing already. Okay, so that covers the pre. What else we got? Oh, we do have undo. Oh no, it's a reset. Okay. Double click the button to reset the module. Oh, so we do have undo. Okay, that's cool, but not a global undo, a unit undo. Okay, and controls output gain. So we have gain staging, love gain staging. I think that's amazing. And it looks like maybe we can move these modules around. Yeah, which we can. So that's super cool as well. We can create our own chain. Very creative. So EQ, we have a vintage EQ, we have a dirty EQ, and we have a gain. Clean circuit for simple clinical EQ tasks. Vintage circuit that adds additional harmonics when boosting. Okay, so we got some saturation. Dirty circuit that adds heavy saturation and distorting when boosting. Super cool. This thing defaults with some gain on the top end, so I'm not a fan of that, where the plugin kind of starts doing something before I start manipulating it. I wish it would just kind of enter in default and not affect the signal at all before I manipulate it, but 1.5 dBs doesn't seem like it's doing anything. So high, low, shelf or low pass, high pass. If we go into the advanced, what do we get? We get a four band EQ, which is great. We can drag it in here. Man, we can do it in here. This thing is cool. And we get the same thing mid-side, left, right. Very smart plugin. Very cool. Compressor, so analog mode. What does it say? Classic compressor that smooths out signals and offers the character of hardware units. Transparent. Modern compressor for clean gain reduction. Variable. An adaptive compressor with an input-dependent response. Okay. Thresholds, makeup, auto makeup gain. Brilliant. I wish that was on the EQ as well, but I'm really happy that it's there. And mix knob. That's awesome. Kind of cool if that was on every module, but great that we can do it in parallel. Man, pop this thing open and you get everything you want to see in a compressor. Knee, so you can go soft or hard knee, soft knee, attack time, ratio, adjust the low frequency. So bandpass filter. So we can really dial in where we're compressing in the frequency range, which is cool. Stereo link, which is great. And a release time. Auto release would be cool, but this thing's got high marks. That's not a knock against this thing at all. And again, unlink mid-side. This thing is, yeah, I don't know if anybody can tell yet, but I'm impressed. Let's move on to the modulation, pitch modulation module that simulates the pitch drift of analog audio formats. So vinyl, depth, speed, mix. What else do we have? Creates pitch modulation with the medium depth speed compensation. Old school cassette creates heavy pitch modulation with no depth speed compensation. And tape, so we can affect wow and flutter. Great. Wow, flutter, mix. Oh, you can sync. Really wish there would be sync on modulation. So many of them don't have that, especially like tape emulator stuff. Got a bit of an offset. Offset's the start point of the wow pitch modulation. Super cool. So these things change. Do they change at all with? No, just wow and flutter controls. This is a really, really well thought out plugin. So where a module that simulates all of the characteristics of printing your audio to tape, vinyl, or cassette. Awesome. Noise, artifacts, age. So noise increases the overall volume noise. So hiss, I'm guessing, adds randomized artifacts to your audio. So dropouts, clicks, pops, I'm guessing that kind of thing. Increases the age of the analog format to introduce filtering and saturation. Interesting. This thing is in depth, hey? Holy smokes. Lots of crazy stuff here. Cassette vinyl, noise, age, gain, age, dropouts, sync, noise. This thing is crazy. Constant. Sets the noise to play constantly. Duct sets the noise to duck when the original audio signal plays, so there's noise when it's not playing. Dynamic plays the noise signal dynamically in time with the original signal. And trigger, where I have to play with some of this. See what it does. So we got our input and output, which we already went over, that you can link to go in inverse settings. So that's really cool. So what's this thing do? Adjust the blend between the dry, clean, and vintage signal. So some sort of new, another harmonic stage, I'm guessing. Warm reduces sharp frequencies, enhances low frequencies. Shine enhances high frequencies of the mid and side channels. So like maybe a bit of an exciter, maybe kind of low shelf or tilt shelf or something like that for the warm. Who knows? We'll have to see what it sounds like. Lots to play with. Hopefully we'll be able to work through it pretty quickly. We'll just dig in. We're going to start with some drums. So we're just on the drums here. So yeah, it is doing a little bit of something right off the hop. So we do have that high in. We'll get rid of that. We'll get rid of this. And it's a little bit of pre happening right off the rip. Okay. And some of this stuff happening too. So we're just gonna take it all out. Oh, and you can bypass the modules individually. So super cool. Well, let's see what this preamp does. So instantly I would love some auto gain there just because this can get pretty dramatic. I love this, the fact that I can just see that I'm like, okay, I've added 10 dBs of gain, like right off the hop. I just know I can grab my fader down about 10 dBs and get into where my gain was living before. I don't have to think too much. That's really critical, I think, when you're trying to work quickly. I think that's a really important thing to have, and they've just nailed that. All right. So all three of these modes sound great. Yeah, so it would be great if it was auto gained, but Worm definitely seems to have the most kind of grit to it. It seems like the bias and the shape are tied to the push. So no push, no bias, no shape. Interesting. Oh yeah, and this thing's like filters out the low frequencies. instantly I like the warm seems to be the one I want to grab the most, but that's just for this material. It'd be great if there was a mix here, but and oh yeah, I do have an output gain here. Wait, that's awesome. Doesn't tell me how much I'm doing, but my handy dandy output meters, I can see what's happening. So not super subtle, but so bias, over biasing, under biasing. So over biasing, we're going to enhance the top frequencies, do some lows, and under biasing, we're going to add some lows. Lose some top. And the shape of that, how broad is that? How tight is it? Cool, so I still don't quite understand what the pull does. Reduces the gain of the wet signal along the frequencies of the saturation curve. So maybe it just kind of allows for a little more definition out of the saturation. Just kind of cleans up some of the harmonic content. Seems to get a little more clarity with it in. And that's out. Yeah, so just kind of like more of like a, almost like a definition, or like a, maybe like if you're looking at a picture or editing a photo, maybe like a sharpness control. Interesting. Oh yeah, you can see here. It's just kind of reducing the harmonic content a little bit. Okay, interesting. Sounds great. Okay, that's the preamp. Let's see what the EQ does. So we're just on a fixed frequency. Shells, the EQ sounds really nice. Really pleasant sounding. Definitely get some crunch there on the dirty. And gain's just super transparent. It's bypassed. Engaged. Very clean sounding, very modern sounding, very clean sounding. Filters a resonant peak, so resonant peak being at the cutoff frequency, there's a bit of a boost before the cutoff. Sounds really nice. So when we go into the advanced, we get control over what frequencies are boosting. So let's just see what that looks like here. Wonder if it'll tell us, if we go to advanced, what frequencies we're getting. So is that the default? Default's 93 and the top is 7K. Vintage sounds really nice. Definitely a bit of a kind of analog smearing thing to it, but in a really pleasant way. Bypass. Engaged. Really nice. Dirty again. Q goes from 0.1 to 7. looks of it. So you can get tight or be pretty broad stroke with it. The feel of the plugin is really good. Like, I know again, this is maybe something super nerdy, but like the traction of the knobs in the digital domain with the mouse, it's kind of really important to me. I want it to feel good to use, and this feels really nice. The traction's really good. It's not too quick, it's not too slow. It doesn't feel sticky, feels like I can work pretty quickly. Four-band EQ, that's nice. I mean, this is just me being picky, but it'd be great to have independent high pass, low pass from the shelving. But really nice. That's kind of an expensive sound to it for an EQ, which is interesting too, because it's not oversampled at all. So, or at least not that I'm aware of. Maybe they've got some kind of fancy anti-cramping, frequency cramping technology like SSL does. I don't know, but sounds good. All right, let's move on to the compressor. So what do we got here? Analog, transparent, variable. Well, so we don't get any indication of gain reduction other than this meter. Seems pretty transparent. A little thick, a little bit of density, but a little bit of pumping there. I mean, we're crushing it pretty good. So what's the variable mode again? An adaptive compressor with an input-dependent response. Okay. Definitely seems like the most aggressive of the bunch. Analog. Transparent. I'm gonna maybe just try this on the mix bus just to see what's happening. Let's try this compressor again. Let's make sure all this is off.
Through my cold veins, it's bigger than anyone, it's better than anything.
Oh, so it like reads and reacts in real time. That's cool. I like that. So it's not an auto release; it's an auto makeup gain, and it's so once you've set it, you hit it. That's smart. Ooh, and it's a pretty good auto gain. Again, nerdy thing, but important. Alright, let's pop it open. So it defaults 2.5 to 1, and it kind of is a medium knee compressor. Even that's super quick. Let's try it up in the ratio here. So, super fast attack, super fast release. It should be distorting like crazy. Still sounds really nice. Bypassed. It's got a real classy sound to it.
Open up your ribcage. See the way your heart beats.
Transparent mode.
Keep
Variable. The variable is interesting. A bit pumpier.
running through an open field. Swimming in the ocean. Feeling like
Let's see what it sounds like more natural settings.
hey, I got a new thing. Don't know how to put it down.
Really nice knee. Get to the compressor. We're using pretty high gain here and it still sounds super transparent. Or high ratio, sorry. We're using a high ratio. I love the stereo link option. So it seems like we're getting a little bit more gain reduction information here, which is nice to see. Not that we know what it's at, but the auto gain's really good. It'd be awesome if it just kind of automatically worked what you're doing, but it's a novel feature, but it just kind of makes it up for you. So let's try the modulation.
Running out through my cold veins. It's bigger than anyone.
Okay. So it seems a little counterintuitive to me that at 100, it doesn't seem to be doing anything, or very little.
Running through an open field. Swimming in the ocean.
But if I change the speed, oh, it's the speed's at 100, so normal. Okay, I guess that makes sense when I think about it for a second.
Don't know how to put it down. Air intake. Open up your ribcage. Hey,
Interesting.
see the way your heart beats.
So pretty subtle on the vinyl.
Keep breathing.
I mean, subtle and not subtle.
Running through an open field. Swimming in the ocean.
So we definitely get into some phasing, some flanging here with the mix.
Hey, I got a new thing. Don't know how to put it down.
Let's try out the different ones.
My cold veins. It's bigger than anyone.
Seems to me be a little more random on the cassette and tape.
Running through an open field. Swimming in the ocean.
Really pleasing phasing and flanging, kind of phasing effect. It's very nice.
Hey, I got a new thing.
Okay, let's see what the advanced controls do. I seem to remember this being like pretty in-depth. Can't quite see the edge of it. Okay, we'll move it over here.
See the way your heart beats.
So, again, love the sync.
Keep breathing. Running through an open
Oh, and you can kind of change upward and down. Like you can kind of change the oscillation of it a little bit. The modulation. Oh, modulation, oscillation. The way that it's modulating. So you can kind of get it pump in
running out through
randomly, smoothly. Cool. That's really cool. Oh, and you can just grab this and play with it. Man, this thing is cool. You can definitely build some really cool effects with this. Especially the fact that it works mid-side. Ooh.
Hey, I got a new thing. Don't know how to put it down. Air intake. Open up your ribcage. Hey, see the way your heart beats. Keep breathing.
Wow. That's neat. The only other plugin that I can think of that does mid-side modulation like this is maybe the Brower Motion, something like that. Pretty cool that you can do the mid side independently. You can really make some movement and make some space happen. All three modes sound cool. Not drastically different. Oh, maybe a bit more drastically different than I thought. Maybe I'm just making that up. Interesting. All right. This may be a bit of a weird thing to request, but it'd be cool if that, even though it's bypassed, I could change some of the settings, so I can just pop it in and out and hear what it sounds like. But that's pretty minor. All right, where? Okay, so this is kind of like the depth knob or mix knob. Okay, well let's hear the three different modes. Tape. Wow. Cassette. Some nice grit there. That sounds great. Sounds really nice. Okay, let's pop it open and see what we can do in there. Oh wow. So, amp hiss, hum. Mechanical noise from the playback process. So let's just see what these all sound like on the different ones. Dust. Okay, so let's try out amp on all three. Wow. Alright, let's try out hum on all three. This thing's awesome. Mechanical. Wow. And dust. Interesting. Okay, and then the different modes. Constantly, duct. Okay, so let's just dial in a little bit of everything here. Okay. Duck's pretty cool because it's in there but not constant. You can just hear it, it's there constantly. Duct, it's living in the mix a little bit more. Okay, and dynamic. So dynamic plays the noise signal dynamically in time with the original signal. moving a little bit more with it. So triggered, the noise signal is triggered by the original signal output. Oh, so it's just a noise only mode. So you can really maybe tailor in what noise you want to add and the attack and release of it. And the sustain. Dropouts. Okay.
Keep breathing.
Artifacts. Okay, so the syncs are tied to the artifact sync, dropout sync. Wow, so many things you can do with this thing. Wow, super cool. And the GUI is cool. Like, it gives you a little bit of what's happening, and you can just grab it and kind of play with it a little bit. Okay, the artifacts drive me nuts. I never use those, but it's cool that it's there. And again, mid side, left, right. That's awesome. Let's put in some of these things again. So why not have that auto mode on the compressor, on the pre, and in the EQ? That would be awesome. That'd be super slick if that was there. Because I think anytime there's like some sort of auto gain feature, it just allows you to be more aggressive. So because you're hearing it a little more in context, so it'll maybe allow you to push further than you would want to, or help you make more subtle decisions because you're hearing it in context rather than it being blasting at you. So that would be great if that was on all the modules, or just on the master even. If I could just hit that auto gain feature, that'd be a super cool feature. Yeah, it all has a real nice sound to it. It sounds kind of expensive. I'm really impressed that it sounds this good and is not oversampled. Okay, so let's just get some basic stuff happening. So have a little something happening. Okay, so let's see what warm and shine do. Just sounds like a really nice, broad, low shelf that kind of comes in, or like a tilt, almost like it's like tilting it really, really subtly. just gonna take all these out. I'll just listen to this thing. Yeah, just like a really nice tilt. Whatever frequency it's doing that at is nice. So, 100%. Bypass. Sounds really nice. Let's see what the shine does. Wow, top end just kind of comes right open. Bypassed. 100%. Bypassed. Really pleasing. Doesn't get harsh or brittle or pull anything in the mid-range. I mean, we're working on a kind of a mellow tune here, so maybe it'd be different if there was like a lot of guitars or something happening. Maybe a lot more of that kind of 2-3K information in this mix, but pretty cool. Really pleasing. Let's do them together. Yeah, Lifeline, just give me this auto button here, please. That is really pleasing. Okay, what is this? Okay, let's get all these modules back in. Doing what they do. So right now we're on dry. So I don't really know what it's tied to. It seems to be tied to the overall signal. So it seems to be affecting the overall thing, which is great. Let's get a little bit of mid-range in here just so we can hear a little bit of that. Crazy. This thing is really cool. Let's just do a quick recap. We spent the evening checking out the Lifeline Console plugin from Excite Audio. This thing's been out for a minute. I think it's at least been out 2 or 3 months. Maybe a little bit longer. Maybe it came out earlier this year. I don't know. It's super cool. This thing checks a lot of boxes for me. It's all built around workflow, and it's all really useful things that you want in workflow. Harmonics, EQ, compression, modulation, and the ability to add in some sort of, retro vibes or analog emulation. It's got a lot of great controls. I don't think I made it sound bad even when I tried to make it sound bad this evening. It sounds incredible. The meters part for me right here is awesome. I love that there's meters. I love that you can inversely link them. That's a really cool feature. And I love that there are readouts there. I wish every plugin needs to take a... Neutron does this as well. Neutron gives you the readout and the meters right there, so I can easily tell what my input and output is, and I can just kind of quickly gain match without having to really listen or guess. I can just see it, and then I can balance and fine tune later. All the modules are great. The fact that you can use it really broad stroke, or you can get in and really dial in what you want to dial in from all of the modules is great. The EQ sounds phenomenal, pre-sound, all the modules sound great. I have nothing bad to say about how this thing sounds. If anything, for something that does analog color, it almost sounds too good. But it's a really impressive plugin. It's really forward thinking, super functional. Those are two big things for me. I love things that are pushing the envelope of what you can do in the digital domain, and I love the workflow of this thing. It's super fast, it's very intuitive, it's clean, it's easy to use. I wish they put the auto gain thing on every module. That would be a really great thing. The only thing that there's undo on each of the modules, which is kind of cool, and a quick reset, which is okay. But I would really love an overall undo and an overall AB. That would be something pretty cool to see. And please, if you're listening to Excite Audio, please put in a gain match button here. That'd be really cool. I would use this everywhere. The fact that it's got modulation built right into it, and you can do mid-side modulation independent of each other, super cool. How much you can make stuff dance and move very quickly. You don't have to reach for a lot of different plugins here. And the fact that it's zero latency and doesn't take much of a hit, I would use it production right away. I think if you're a producer, you spend a lot of time building up sounds and trying to get vibe happening quickly, this thing would be in my template immediately. Direct tracks, buses, groups, mixing. I mean, it sounds really good. I'm not sure I would use it in mastering because it's a bit more of a color tool, but the EQ sounds really nice. Might end up using it there, and the pre sounded pretty nice too. So, I mean, you could use it for mastering for sure. I'm not sure I would lean on it there, but I'm super impressed. Really, for me, for how I feel about plugins and technology, this thing is like built for me. I think it's incredible. So full marks to Excite Audio for this thing. It sounds incredible. I'm really impressed. If you check out the plugin, please hit me up in the comments on YouTube. If you are checking me out on YouTube and you enjoyed the review, please consider dropping me a like, a follow, and hitting the old subscribe button. That would really help me out. Thanks so much. I hope everybody has a great night. Thanks.